let's can something. I got a good deal on jalapeños, and I have no pickled jalapeños in my pantry at the moment, and my kiddos love them. So we're gonna do a quick, if I can open this, wash on these, and then we're gonna pop them in some jars. I have a canning recipe that I love from the this is the complete book. I have a pick a vegetable pickles on page 298 that we're gonna follow. This is not a refrigerator pickle. You can use it as a refrigerator pickle, but I am going to water bath process these so that they're shelf stable. Let's go. Before I chop up all my peppers, I'm gonna get my water bath ready to go. This is my pressure cooker, obviously, pressure canner. I really like this because it has this little tray that sits on the bottom, so it keeps your jars off the bottom of the actual pot. I have a gas stove, so the flame is right below this, and so if you wind up having too hot of a bottom, your jars can wind up rattling, and then you can wind up causing stress fractures or cracks, and nobody wants that. Okay, real quick, I got 5 jars in the canner. I wanted to show you this one. As soon as I inspect all of my jars, at least I really try to, before I put them in the hot water to warm them up, because you want to look for any impurities. I have granite countertops. My dishwasher is right here. So if I'm loading something in and accidentally bonk it on the counter, I run the risk of chipping my jar, sending a crack somewhere that I'm not really paying attention to, and then you wind up with an imperfection in the glass, which can cause problems. When you put it in the hot water and it processes for that long, the pressure that's trying to release is going to also have a release wherever else it may be on the jar that has an impurity, and it will crack. So I was looking at this one. It's very hard to see. The seam for the jar is actually right here, and right next to it, about 1.5 inches up, is a fracture. And it's not a crack in the glass, it's a stress fracture. So this is a perfectly fine jar to use for storage for dry goods, or we use mason jars for drinking, for just our cups on a day-to-day basis, but I will not use this to processing anything. I will not use this to process anything because it will crack, and we don't want that. One other thing, as I was doing this, I got to thinking to myself, a lot of people, when they think, oh, I'm gonna can something or I'm gonna preserve something, you have to do it in bulk quantities. You absolutely do not. I have one of the best books that I bought years ago when I first started canning that's called Preserving by the Pint. And it's this seasonal cookbook that is literally small batch preservation. So we're talking she makes 2 or 3 pint jars or 4 half pint jars of whatever it is. And it can be a ferment, it can be a pickle, it can be a jelly. It doesn't have to be a massive amount of something. You can absolutely small batch can, which is what we're gonna do today. With this particular pickle recipe, you could do any vegetable that you like. You could do this spicy with jalapeños or different peppers. You could keep it super mild and just do a basic cucumber. You could do a combination like a giardiniera with carrots and cauliflower. The world really is your oyster as long as you keep the acidity level what the recipe says. So you have to keep the brine proper to the ratios in the cookbook. Otherwise, the food that you put in the jar, as far as vegetable goes, you have quite a bit of wiggle room, which is really nice about a pickle. Got all our peppers here. So I cut out the vast majority of the seeds because my kiddos really love these and they don't like super, super spicy. So I left some in so that they have a little bit of heat, but not too much. Let's get our brine going. Okay, to our brine, we are going to add 1.5 cups of sugar. This is a 1/2 cup scoop. We are going to add 4 cups of vinegar. You want to make sure that you have a vinegar that is 5% acidity. It will say it on here, 5% acidity. If you have anything lower than that, it is not safe for canning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just not enough. 4. And 1 cup of water.
put the spoon in the garbage.
We're gonna bring this to a rolling boil to let the sugar dissolve. In case anyone was concerned, I did, in fact, retrieve the spoon that got put in the garbage can. Little helpers. So while this is getting warm and we're waiting for it to boil, I had my jars in the hot water. The hot water is not meant to sterilize these jars. It's just meant to create a hot environment. We want hot food going into a hot jar. So we have 5 pints in here. Not sure if we're gonna actually use 5 pints, but we're gonna give it a whirl. As soon as these jars come out of the water, which I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna put them on a clean dishcloth on my counter. So my jars are out of the water. They are nice and hot. I am gonna go ahead and pop in lids to a pot of hot water just to soften the seal. Some people do this, some people don't do this. I have always done this. My grandma did this, so it is just part of my practice. I'm gonna pop in one extra one just in case. Absolute favorite lids by Superb. They truly are superb. So now what we're gonna do is grab our peppers and we're gonna do what's called a raw pack method, which means we are putting raw food, the raw jalapeños, into these jars and then ladling in our hot broth to go over the jars. Then we will process them in the water bath. One thing you want to keep in mind when stuffing your jars is you do want them full, but you don't want them overly full. Something like a pepper is going to slide in here and be kind of soft, but if you have a more firm food, you're going to want to stuff them. Just don't overfill your jars. Now comes the fun part. We're going to ladle our hot brine into our jars and try not to make a mess. Like that. Hence the towel. I realize I muted this particular clip because my kiddo was kicking the counter and talking to me. But what I'm saying here is you want to fill these to a 1/2 inch headspace, which is basically a 1/2 inch from the top of the jar. These are currently about a inch headspace, and I do go through and top them off. Once you're done filling your jars to a 1/2 inch headspace, you're going to want to take a chopstick, or I always use my lid magnet here to just kind of move your product around a little bit and release any bubbles that might be just kind of stuck in the jar or suspended in the liquid. And then you're going to want to take a towel. I always just dip it in the hot water that I have my jars sitting in. You're going to want to wipe the rims so we get a good seal. And then we will take our lids out, pop them on, add rings, and we will get this processing. Now these jalapeños are a pickled jalapeno, so they're gonna be safe to process in a water bath, and we're gonna process them for 10 minutes at a rolling boil. I can't tell you how excited we are to have these back on the pantry shelf. We use these pickled jalapeños for all kinds of things. You could use them to dress up nachos or tacos, use them for sandwiches, or just as an appetizer with cream cheese and crackers. They're super versatile and really delicious. Hope you had fun with this. I hope you try canning. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help.